When I first met Brett Kelly, he got to talking about leadership and business and the kinds of clients that Kelly+Partners attracts. He told me that the secret of his success as a leader has been his number one priority, which is to treat people well. That's all he said. He said all people. And he said people don't do what they say, which is following the theme I started with. So he said if we can do what we say and treat everyone well, we'll always be ahead of everyone else. And it's amazing how those simple lessons. I remember when I was starting out as a business journalist and I interviewed Jerry Harvey about the secrets to business success for people starting business today. And he said, the revenue line has to be higher than the expense line. They're all simple lessons in the end. Brett has more than 20 years' experience in the commercial and professional accountancy business with a specialty in private clients and private family-run businesses and their owners. As I mentioned earlier, Brett Kelly founded Kelly+Partners in 2006 in that empty room in North Sydney, and fast forward just 10 years and it's one of Australia's top 25 biggest accounting firms. Brett's also the best-selling author of 4 books on business success. Welcome to the podium, Brett Kelly.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Emma, and David, thank you so much for joining us. I guess I wanted to start, as I always do, by thanking our team who put tonight on. There's a bunch of people who've worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring all this together, and notwithstanding that it is a sauna, it's nicely lit, there's a camera, a video, and we finally got it all together. I wanted to take a few minutes of your time just to share a little bit about the BMF story that many people may know and may not. I spent nearly 6 months working with both Barry Mendel and Barry Frank to bring this partnership together, and it is the 15th time that we've done a partnership like this. So I've spent a lot of time working with older professionals that have built amazing businesses and transitioned them into our group. The story of the development of the BMF group is, to me, a really great untold migrant success story. Barry Mendel and Barry Frank landed in Sydney from their native South Africa, Durban and Cape Town, in 1970, 77 and 1980 respectively. Barry Mendel had commenced at Cooperson Lybrand, and Barry Frank's first employer was Ernst & Young in 1980. Having each purchased their first unit to live in Sydney at Marsfield, in one of Harry Triguboff's first developments, both Barrys were keen to make a difference and to make their mark in business. Now, BMF was founded in their certain belief that existing firms really were nowhere near as committed to, expert or determined on behalf of their clients as they ought to be. And anyone who has really made a mark in an industry, in my experience, has not accepted the status quo, has wanted to make a difference. And both of the Barrys thought that in their own small way, in their own windowless office, here in 1981 in the MLC Centre, and as Barry mentioned, 36 years in a couple of weeks' time, which is amazing. The firm is the longest serving tenant in the MLC Centre. They've done an amazing thing, as all of you being here tonight attest. So in 1981, they started their partnership in this windowless office, and this was Sydney's most prestigious location. I remember asking Barry Mendel, what was your strategy? He said, go to the best building and get the best clients. I was like, right, that's how you do it. So working 6 days a week as their wives, Edith and Cheryl, looked after their growing families, providing late night home visits and early morning meetings was evidence of their commitment to their clients, their ambitions and their fledgling enterprise. That 36 years later, the BMF Group, still based here, would become the leading advisor to private business owners, private clients and families in Sydney and around Australia. Was a combination of vision, much sacrifice, hard work, and an unflinching commitment to excellence for the clients, and an unwillingness to compromise, which I thought, when I read David's book over Christmas, his chapter on professionalism really struck me. So I've been asked, and I don't like to talk about myself, I prefer to stand behind the screen over there, but I keep getting asked, well, Brett, can you tell us something about you? And I said, well, I was born in Sydney and I'm married to Rebecca, who is here up the back with George and Mark, I'm sure. And it was Rebecca and I that founded our firm in 2006 with a nearly 1-year-old under the boardroom table. Now we now have Thomas, Nicholas and Audrey, 11, 9 and 4 respectively. And I always like to thank Beck for the contribution she's made. We started the business with the very same ethic as BMF. I worked at Pricewaterhouse for 5.5 years, and while a great firm in those days, committed in many ways to the interests of their clients, I was a young person with some brains, and I thought they could do better. They had other ideas, which was okay. I went off into investment banking and worked with one of the gentlemen here, and having lost that job, I didn't know what to do. My father gave me a great book. It said, if you want to be successful, go and meet people that have been, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I wrote to 80 prominent Australians. I made 5,500 phone calls in 3 months, and I interviewed 34 of them, and I asked them about Australia today and the future and what had made a difference in their life. What I learned from that process, that whether you're a billionaire, a former prime minister, or a millionaire, if you treated people well, then you could access their experience and their wisdom. I called the book Collective Wisdom. And if you had that, at 22 and a half at that point, you could have hundreds of years of experience working with you. And that was much better than working against it. So I commenced at Pricewaterhouse in '93, worked full-time, studying part-time, playing first-grade cricket for the cricket fans in the room. There's at least one cricketer here of some note. I completed my degree in business, and then after I wrote this best-selling book, I went back into chartered accounting. I thought it was a business where you could make a difference to people. So I did a master's degree in taxation at the University of New South Wales, which was an excellent institution, and I later qualified as a financial planner, became a fellow of the Tax Institute, tax agent, JP, and now I've had over 22 years in the industry. We just started the business because I'd been inside firms. I just thought we could do better. I thought that if we cared more about the client and worked harder, built systems that could make a difference based on our deep understanding of one specialty. So we don't do something for everyone. We don't do public companies. We don't do government. We just do private clients, private business owners and families, that we could probably come up with something a little bit better than what I thought was really average. So since that time, through organic growth and acquiring interest in firms in partnerships like we've done with BMF, we've grown the group of clients of significant wealth who trust our advice and have achieved average growth in our business of over 30% every year for nearly 11 years. We've built a leading expert management team in our industry and a team of more than 220 highly motivated, aligned professionals who specialise in helping these private business owners. So to me, the parallels, when I met Barry, I'd read an article in the paper, and as I'm inclined to do, right back from writing those books, I phoned the front desk and I said, I'd really like to speak to Mr. Mendel. I understand he's the boss. And they put me through, and I said, I'd love to have a cup of tea. And we had a cup of tea, talked about cricket, which is always a good thing. Some great cricket bats out there, and talked about how he developed the firm. I loved what I saw. There was real alignment in values, and I never forget, Ray Martin launched my second book, and he started the speech, and I only have 2 regrets in life. One was that I wasn't at the birth of my third child only daughter, Beck, and the second one was that I didn't video that presentation. And to give you an insight into Barry and myself, Ray said, look, Brett's just relentless. Now if he gets hold of you, he's not going to let go, so he invited me to speak tonight. So I thought it was easier to agree. It gives a sense of how we are culturally. We will work very, very hard for our clients to do what is in their interest. We give independent advice. We don't take any quarter with what we think is shabby. We're not into commodification. We do believe that great thinking and real insight can make a material difference in people's lives and in their financial position. I'd like to finish with 2 comments. We think that relationship is very, very, very important. And in terms of understanding business relationship and personal relationships, we start with personal relationships. The number 1 reason for divorce is communication, apparently. The number 2 is finances. I say it's communication about finances. We know that if we do a great job for our clients, that we can enhance their business, we can enhance their lives, we can enhance their relationships and the future prospects of their families, and we think that makes a real difference. I'm really proud of the business here and the people that are here. I in particular want to thank the directors in the business, Mark Pragg, Saketu, where's Saketu? I've seen Saketu, and Ming, Anne Darman, on the wealth side, Jill and Justin. I've seen our tax director down there, Tony Nunes. I've probably missed Jonathan Yeo, who I can't see. but in particular also in the support function here. Jasmine Irani has been Barry's PA for 13 years, and frankly without her it would have been very hard to make the progress we have to date. So we do have a great team. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I look forward to working with you. Everyone knows if you want to get in touch, I've got a mobile, I do answer it. Send me a text message, I'll be in touch. We love to return calls on the same day. We think that service makes a difference. Thanks very much.